So what happens when a being becomes spiritual? It's very subtle. First, and it's very difficult, it'll take a while, you give up on your wants and not wants. And that's easy to say, but people have a lot of trouble with that. But I question, why would you have trouble with that? It doesn't work. Why would it be hard for the hamster to get off that wheel? I mean, talk to him for a minute. Hamster, how long have you been running on the wheel? Forever, my whole life. That's what I do all day. It's my thing. I run on the wheel. Well, where are you going? Going uphill. I'm gonna make it up there. Wherever I go, I'm on the highway. Man, I'm on the highway, I'm getting somewhere. Have you ever gotten anywhere? Not yet. All right? So you ask him, why would it be hard to get off the wheel? You've been doing this 24/7, every single day for your entire life, and you've never got anywhere. So I don't understand why it's hard. I'm not gonna call it renunciation, you're not renouncing anything, you didn't get anywhere. So that's how a deep, mature spiritual being gets off the wheel of want and not want. Not because it's wrong, not because they're guilty, not because they don't want to go to hell, they want to go to heaven, not because somebody told them to, not for any reason in the whole world except it doesn't work. All right? Now, how long does it take for you to see it doesn't work? It should take you about 30 seconds. Why? You have all the evidence in the world you will ever need. You. All right? This is how I teach it. All right? If I were to have done something every minute of my life for my entire life to try and achieve something or get something, and I'm still doing it, then it must not work. Why? I've tried as hard as I can my entire life, and I'm still doing the exact same thing I've always been doing. So there has to be something wrong with this formula. So you look, I have been chasing what I want and running away from what I don't want my entire life, day and night. Even when I sleep, you worry about it or dream about it. That's what's been going on. The fact that you are still doing it means something's wrong. It doesn't work. If you work at something, it should work. it should change. It should do something. So net result is you reach the point where you say, I'm going to be different. I'm going to find another way. And your other way, whatever way it is, I don't care. If it's other than chasing want and not want, it is a spiritual path. You're exploring the alternative to the ignorance of what everybody else is doing, which is driving themselves crazy, running after what doesn't get them anything. So net result is, what will happen if you do that? Well, first of all, how do you do that? It's easy. It says what I want and you laugh. You smile. You treat it like a little child throwing a tantrum. You pat it on the head. Say, I've been here before, I've seen it. Yes, you have the right to want what you want, but I'm going with you. And when it says what I don't want and I'm so afraid of it, and I'm so scared and I hope it doesn't happen, and if it ever happened, I would ever die, right? You give it a drama award. You know, the Emmys are coming up. You know, oh, you did so well at that. You almost had me involved. And you just smile. You just laugh at it, right? I have listened to you as long as I'm listening to you. I'm not listening anymore. What will happen if you do that? It's so amazing what will happen. You will end up, even just that act, you end up freer than you were before. Why? You who's not listening is somebody you never knew before. You were busy involved in running after whatever the mind was telling you about what it wants and what it doesn't want in the name of getting a state of well-being, which it doesn't bring you. So instead, you sit there quietly and relax. And the real spiritual path is you relax in the face of what your mind is saying. You don't try to stop your mind from saying it. You don't get upset because it's saying it. You just relax. And what you will find is that you're there. And that is what we call witness consciousness. That is a state of spiritual awakening. What is? That I'm here. Well, where were you before? I was all involved in what the mind was saying. I was all involved in trying to make the world be what my mind said it needed to be to make me okay, but it never did. So now instead I've decided to just get off. I'm telling you, it's not a matter of substituting one way of doing it to another way. You must go through the process of, I have no idea. I'm just not doing that because it doesn't work. See how easy that is? There's no decisions to make, there's nothing. You just relax in the face of it. What will happen? The worst that will happen is it'll keep saying what it says and then it'll stop because nobody's listening. And you just relax behind it. And little by little, two things happen. One, it will stop. It will get less and less. Why? Because nobody's listening. It's not going to just keep doing it. It's doing it because it thinks it's going to get what it wants. Like a child who's throwing a tantrum all the time. What do they teach you? Sometimes you just leave it alone. You don't have to talk to him. You don't have to yell at him. All right? Just ignore him. Can you handle it? He's making noise. Walk away. He'll stop. Why? Because he's doing it for a reason. He's doing it to get what he wants. If he sees it's not going to get him what he wants, he will stop. It's the exact same thing with your mind. That's the highest way to work with your mind. You just relax behind it, become comfortable, and realize, hey, I have this mind. It's crazy. It has this abundance of wants and not wants, and it's thoroughly convinced that if it gets what it wants, ecstasy will happen. I'll be totally okay. It will be like heaven on earth. And if it gets what it doesn't want, oh my God, it's like going to hell and it'll never be any better. The problem is, it is said that every day of my life, all right? And it's like, it's just not true. It's not true. When you get what you want, you're not okay. How do I know? Because you want something else. There's never been a single time that you got what you wanted that you never wanted anything ever again. Is there? It's just endless. And the same thing with what you don't want. You work hard to avoid what you don't want. How do you feel? Scared that it'll happen tomorrow, or have to avoid the next thing, or whatever it is. Once you get in the habit of playing that game, you lose. So instead you relax. When you relax, you will get some distance from the process of mind. You don't have to fight it, you don't have to do anything. Just relax. Then, little by little, it will stop because nobody's listening to it. Don't suppress it. Don't touch it. Let it be what it is. There's a piano. There's a glass. There's a box of Kleenex. There's a bird singing. There are crickets cricketing. There's a mind complaining. There's a mind giving trouble. And it's either giving trouble about what I want and didn't get, or giving trouble what I don't want and I'm afraid is going to happen. Fine. It's a thing in the universe. It's not yours. Everybody has one. It just says what it says because it's programmed to do that. A lot of you have studied psychology. Psychology is very simple. It basically says you have this mind. It's capable of learning. Very good. What did it learn? What happened to you? That's what it learned. It learned what passed before its eyes, didn't it? And so now it talks about that. It remembers what it liked before. It remembers what made it happy. It remembers what made it sad. And it regurgitates that. I chose that word carefully. It regurgitates that over and over again, saying what it wants and what it doesn't want. There. That's all the yogi or yogini wants to know about the mind. So they, all I want to know about the glass is it sits there and it holds water. All I want to know about the mind is it sits there and talks about what happened before. It talks about what it thinks will make it happy, what it thinks will make it sad, and what to do about it. So you just relax. Then you're done with mind. It's that easy. If you're willing to do it, it's that easy. You don't have to fight with it. You don't have to do anything. You just relax behind it and let it be what it is. What will happen? 1, all of your energy, all of your will, all of your being will no longer get pulled into the process of what the mind is talking about. Why? Because you're not listening. It's that simple. Where will all that energy go? Where will all that will, all that chi, all that shakti go? It will remain seated within the seat of self. People don't know what that means yet. You shouldn't think about it because the mind can't know. The self is what watches the mind. The mind can't watch itself. It is the consciousness that is aware of the mind. By not getting involved in the mind, the consciousness remains seated and centered within its own self. And you start to experience the nature of your own being. And that's why this is the spiritual path. It didn't sound like the spiritual path when you were talking about wanting and not wanting and all that stuff, right? It didn't even sound like the spiritual path when we were talking about what I want is well-being. You do want well-being. What we're talking about is how to get it. Because every single person is capable of a state of total well-being effortlessly. That's what I want for you. Effortless, unconditional, unending, constant, eternal well-being. How does that sound? It is absolutely your natural state of being. You have the right to that and you're capable of that, and you don't even have to work to get it. You don't have to lift a finger. It is the essence of your nature of self. So when you stop letting all of your energy, attention, and will get pulled into what the mind is saying, where will your energy, consciousness, and will end up? They will end up staying seated where they came from. What we call, the Buddhists call it their source. All things that seemed so mystical before become obvious. That is the source of your consciousness. That is the source of your will. When your mind says something, you need to get involved in it and then apply your will to try and make it happen. That's your will. The mind has no will of its own. It's your will that's getting involved in the mind. Just like this glass has no will of its own. It was my will that picked it up, wasn't it? From way back in here, I decided, glass, raise thee up. Okay, and it went up, but I made it happen. And the same is true with your mind. So if you relax in the face of your mind, people have a lot of trouble with that. But isn't there a part of the mind I should be listening to? Go ahead, do whatever you want, and come back and talk to me when you find out that the answer to that is no. No, don't try to pick between different parts of your mind, the parts you like, the parts you don't like, the part that's probably right. First, learn who you are. Relax in the face of whatever it has to say. That's a very great state. When you're capable of relaxing in the face of whatever it has to say, you will be a totally different being. Therefore, your whole way of living will change and you won't ask questions like that. What will happen? You will start to be aware that you're there. That's what's going to happen. You'll start to be aware. You don't think it. You're just aware, I'm here. And you will feel this strength, this power, this solidity that you never felt before. Why? Because you are solidly seated within the seat of self. You're not all scattered at all the millions of places that the mind could go. So your energy was scattered all over the place as the mind talked about all kinds of different things. Now your energy is centered in one place where it's source. And that energy is tremendously powerful. Look at how much power got involved in the mind, how much power you assert to get what you want and avoid what you don't want. All of that power starts to pulsate and drive within you, and it feeds you tremendous strength. And then you start to feel love, like just a state of total love and well-being. You don't even understand why. Like there's no reason for it. Nobody did anything, nobody said anything, yet you're just feeling high, you're feeling up. You're now dealing with spirit. That's what they mean by spirit. They have different names for it in all the traditions, but they all talk about it. Why? Because it's really there, all right? It is the nature of your being. Your consciousness, your center of being is very, very high, but we don't sit there. We get all involved in the wants and not wants of the mind, and then we get all involved in trying to manipulate the world to make it match the wants and not wants of the mind.